The first thing I noticed after the procedure was the taste of copper in my mouth and the hiss of rain against the recovery ward window. A nurse checked the dressing behind my left ear, declared the incision lovely and dry, and handed me a laminated quick start card for my new Polyglot V implant. "Just think of the phrase you want translated," she said, tapping a spot above her own tragus where no scar was visible. "Your brain does the rest. Piece of cake." I nodded, eager to leave. Learning Korean for the soul posting had felt impossible in the 6 weeks the company allowed. Polyglot GVA promised instant fluency in 93 languages, dialect calibration in real time, and, according to the glossy brochure, a seamless fusion of minds across cultures. I was sold. Outside, neon signs bled color into the wet pavement. Ramyeon stalls, karaoke bars, the huge hollow board for eSync Neurotech, the implant's manufacturer. The city hummed with conversations my new device would supposedly decode automatically the moment I needed it. I didn't realize anything was wrong until the taxi ride to my corp dorm. The driver glanced at me in the rear mirror and said, in careful English, "First week in Seoul?" I opened my mouth to answer, but layered under his spoken words I heard an extra sentence, crisp as if whispered directly into my ear. "Foreigners never tip. Bet you won't." I startled so hard my seatbelt locked. "Are you okay?" he asked aloud. I forced a smile. "Jet lag," I said, and slipped him a generous bill at the curb, just to contradict the phantom comment. He looked surprised, pleased, actually. Yet in that moment I caught another silent fragment. Lucky guess, she'd probably messed up the conversion rate. I fled into the dorm lobby with my suitcase rattling behind me. At midnight, the dorm kitchen reeked of kimchi and coffee. 2 interns, Jun and Nari, argued by the instant noodle dispenser. I approached, excited to test the implant on natural conversation. Jun said something rapid-fire in Korean. I understood every syllable as if I'd grown up with the language. "Tell her the presentation slides are a disaster." But over the top of that came another voice, Jun's again but leached of all politeness, stripped to an ugly core. "Damn, Nari, you're useless. Why do I have to fix everything?" The spoken and the unspoken overlapped like a bad audio mix. I rubbed my temples. Maybe fatigue? Nari saw me and switched to English. "Mina, want ramen?" I heard 2 tracks inside those words, too. Actual speech, warm, inclusive, and beneath it, she looks so put together, how her hair still shines after a 13-hour flight. I mumbled an excuse and left them staring. In my dorm pod, I scrolled the polyglot FAQ. No mention of thought bleed. I toggled the diagnostic overlay, said aloud, "Run self-test." The implant pinged. No errors detected. The night passed anyway, fitful. Morning orientation brought 100 new voices. Every greeting, every handshake came twin-linned, the official pleasantry and the corrosive aside. "Great to have you on the team. Let's see how long you last before crying. Your resume is impressive." "Must be exaggerated. Love your blazer. Too much perfume, though. By lunch I was nauseous." I ducked into a restroom stall and pressed my fingers to the scar behind my ear, expecting heat, swelling, sparks, something physical to match the psychic static. The skin felt normal. The noise in my skull did not. I considered the obvious explanation. This was me. Paranoia, stress hallucination, maybe early psychosis. Yet each silent barb fit the speaker's micro-expressions too well. The sour pinch around a mouth, the flicked glance down my blouse, the second's hesitation before a handshake. Teeny tells that people subconsciously broadcast. The implant might be amplifying them, translating not language but intent. The user agreement recommended a 24-hour acclimation period. Maybe this was a transitional glitch. I decided to push through the afternoon workshops, determined not to react to anything I heard. During a break, I found myself beside Dr. Cho, head of eSync's linguistic R&D. She was revered in our field, rumored to speak 14 languages without augmentation. I swallowed my panic and introduced myself in Korean. "Ah, the new polylingual," she replied out loud, eyes crinkling kindly. "How are you finding the device so far?" Beneath, "I hope this beta firmware holds. PR will kill me if another bug surfaces. I jumped on the opportunity. Actually, I've experienced something odd. I described the dual-channel phenomenon, careful to keep my voice low in the crowded hall. She glanced around, motioned me into a side office. "Remove the earpiece," she said. "I don't have an earpiece. It's fully subdermal." She cursed softly in Mandarin, which I understood perfectly, and pulled up a holo console. "Let me check your implant ID." Numbers streamed between us. I tried not to listen to her sublayer, but it pulsed anyway. "If the empathy filter's malfunctioning again, we'll have another recall. The board will gut my funding." "Empathy filter?" I asked aloud, startling her. Dr. Cho's shoulders sagged. "You shouldn't know about that. I'm literally hearing everything you think. Secrecy is moot." She exhaled. Polyglot V was supposed to include a feature that gauges emotional context. The idea was to supplement translation with affect recognition, detect sarcasm, friendliness, hostility, but early prototypes picked up raw emotional signals beyond speech, down to limbic microfluctuations. People's inner monologue. She rubbed her temples. "We disabled that module months ago." "Apparently not in mine." "Apparently not," she echoed. "Give me 20 minutes. I can push a patch." Relief washed through me so fast I almost cried. I perched on a stool while she coded. She handed me a cup of barley tea. Its warmth anchored me to the present. Yet even then, I heard her internal voice humming. She seemed stable, but liability risk is high. Might have to recommend memory scrubbing if payar dement. I slammed the tea down, sloshing it onto the desk. "You will not scrub my memory." Dr. Cho froze. I signed up to learn languages, not to become collateral damage." The overhead fluorescence buzzed. Outside, muffled conference chatter drifted. She closed her eyes, inhaled, and in a steady voice said, "You're right." Beneath, "HR will call this insubordination, but regulations say patient autonomy." I almost smiled. Cognitive or not, the thought proved she still cared about rules. The patch downloaded. The implant rebooted with a cool tingle along my auditory cortex. I held my breath, then poked my head into the hallway. 2 employees discussed lunch plans. I heard only their spoken Korean, no subterranean jabs. I sagged with relief. "Any residual bleed?" I said. "Seems fixed," I said. "Thank you." She nodded, though behind the relief on her face I noticed a flicker of doubt, one I didn't need telepathy to see. But I left her office gratefully, determined to salvage my new life abroad. That evening the interns dragged me to a pocha-macha tent for soju and tteokbokki. Neon lanterns burned against the violet sky. Laughter, clinking glass, sizzling rice cakes, normal. Glorious sensory overload. Halfway through the second bottle, a buzzing heat needled my skull. The world tilted. Nairi's mouth moved. "Are you okay?" But instead of words I heard, "Please don't puke on my shoes. I just bought them." The bleed was back. I doubled forward. June steadied me. "We should take her home," he said, but inside his voice, "Great. Night ruined." I stumbled out to fresh air. The implant crackled with overlapping mental noise, louder than before, not just the people near me but vague impressions from passers-by, a radius of private grudges and fleeting self-loathing. Forgot to pay electricity bill. He'll never text back. That foreign girl looks drunk. No self-rain trail. The surge built into a roar, a psychic subway braking at full screech. I clamped my hands over my ears, though no sound came from outside. Cars honked, raindrops fizzed on asphalt. Someone's thought cut sharp and clear through the din. Jump. For a split second, the word wasn't a suggestion, it was a command, accompanied by a snapshot of me stepping into traffic, lights blooming white around my silhouette. I gasped, lurching backward, ankle twisting. "Taxi!" June yelled, waving. They bumbled me inside while I hyperventilated. Back at the dorm, I locked myself in my pod, sweating, shaking. I forced deep breaths and recited Italian verb conjugations, anything to occupy language centers and maybe drown the leak. It half worked. The thoughts dimmed, but didn't vanish. My own mind echoed the negativity now, as if the implant was a two-way conduit, recycling their worst selves into mine. At 3 a.m., I pinged Dr. Cho a priority red message. Bleed returned. Worst. Please advise. No reply. I spent dawn on the roof watching hazy sun smear butter across smog. The city thrummed awake. Delivery drones, subway rumble, thousands of people bracing for another day. Under it all, their private miseries chorused in my skull, rendering me an unwilling confessional. By 9 a.m. I barged into eSync headquarters, ignoring reception's protests. Security escorted me to Dr. Cho. She looked haggard, dark moons under her eyes. "We pulled the patch logs," she said before I spoke. "Your implant accepted the update, then rolled it back. We think the empathy module is self-protecting, recursively restoring itself." "Why the hell would it do that?" "Because," she whispered, "the module isn't just code, it's a machine learning mesh seeded with a sliver of each user's neural data. Once activated, it shapes itself around your cognition. To delete it is like deleting a part of you. The system perceives removal as injury. Though I'm stuck hearing everything forever, we could physically extract the implant." "Then do it," her silence answered. "Surgery risk, auditory nerve damage, language centers compromised, possibility of permanent aphasia." I didn't need her inner monologue. She stated the dangers plainly, but I sensed more: company politics, proprietary tech, share prices. They preferred I adapt. "I can't live like this," I said, tears irritating the incision. "There's another way," she said, surprising me. "We can amplify the filter instead, widen the net, normalize the negativity so individual signals blur. Think of it as white noise. You'll sense general emotional temperature, not granular thoughts. Will it hurt? Some disorientation, maybe migraines." Her thoughts added, "If this works, we salvage the beta. If not, we've created a human antenna. God forgive us." I closed my eyes. The alternative was madness. "Do it." The lab was cold, alive with the antiseptic buzz of machines. I lay on a recliner while technicians fitted a cranial clamp. Dr. Cho's hands were steady, voice soft. She asked about my family, hobbies, anything to keep me present. I told her about my mother's garden back home, how the jasmine smelled at dusk. The memory steadied me. "Ready," she said. Static erupted, needles of light behind my eyelids. I screamed. Thoughts battered me from every direction, not words now, but bright shards of emotion. Shame, fear, irritation, lust, curiosity. They mingled into a kaleidoscopic storm. For a heartbeat I felt each individual. A barrister worried about rent, a child resenting piano lessons, a man rehearsing a breakup speech. Then the frequencies merged, layer upon layer, until distinctions vanished. The noise flattened into a distant surf, a cosmic hum of human discomfort. I opened my eyes, salty with tears. The lab ceiling spun, then steadied. Dr. Cho leaned over. "Mina, can you understand me?" Her lips moved. I tracked the words. The background hum remained but stayed diffuse, like city traffic through a thick wall. "I hear you," I said hoarsely, "and only you." Relief rippled across her face. I sensed it too. Warmth, genuine this time, folded into the larger tide. "We'll monitor you," she said. "Rest." Over the next days, I learned to navigate the new landscape. Emotions hovered in the periphery, indistinct but textured, like colored fog. Approaching a crowd felt heavier, pressing against my chest. Entering a quiet park lightened it. I started mapping neighborhoods, not by cafes or landmarks, but by ambient emotional climate. The anxiety nod near the stock exchange, the weary lull behind the hospital, the flirtatious spark around the university gates at dusk. My colleagues noticed a change. "You're calmer," June remarked over coffee. I smiled, sensing his muffled curiosity, no longer piercing. Work improved too. During client meetings, I could tune the empathic hum to gauge tension, adjust my presentation pace, insert jokes where levity felt lacking. Deals closed faster. The company praised my cultural intuition. Dr. Cho winked from the back of boardrooms. Yet I retained an ethical ache. I was still eavesdropping, albeit blurred. Did that violate privacy? Or was it akin to picking up body language? One evening, 3 weeks after the amplification, I found Nari crying outside the dorm. She insisted she was fine, but the fog around her pulsed sharp with despair. Normally, polite society would wait for explicit confession. I already knew too much to ignore. "I can feel you hurting," I said quietly. She stiffened. "What do you mean, feel?" I weighed honesty. "My implant lets me sense emotions. They're screaming right now." Her chin trembled. She confessed failing a major audit, fearing termination, parents' disappointment. I listened. No advice, just presence. The fog thinned. Afterward, she stared at me in gentle awe. "You should do counseling," she said. The suggestion lodged in my chest like a seed. Days later, I asked Dr. Cho, could future versions let users opt into emotion sharing? Not just thoughts, but support? She smiled. "The board won't like the liability." "Maybe empathy is worth the risk?" She said nothing, but hope flickered in her field small. Bright winter rolled in, crisp and starry. Walking home one night, I paused on a bridge over the Han River. The city glittered. The hum inside me rose and fell like wind through reeds, full of loneliness and laughter, anger and longing, 1,000 contradictory notes blending into a single human chord. It no longer felt invasive, it felt true. Above the hum, my own thoughts formed, distinct and fierce. "I can carry this, I can help." Behind my ear, the scar had faded to a pale seam. I touched it, a doorway between solitude and connection. Then I headed across the bridge, into the luminous, complicated music of other people, heart steady against the tide.